Hey gang, Mocha Boy here. So, I've got a few new toys I'm playing with, and I thought that rather than type out the this week's wrap-up report, I'd actually do a video report. So, this will allow me to cover a lot more material and a lot more detail in a shorter amount of time because I know that people, even I include myself in this category, just hate reading. Anyway, we have a lot to cover. I'm not going to go over the statistics of this last clan war. Everybody knows what happened. We got matched up against an incredibly tough clan. And despite the fact that they had 20 Town Hall 9 and above bases, and we have three or four, forget the exact count, to our three or four, somehow that still constitutes a match in Supercell's, funny math. So whatever the case, don't focus on that. Just focus on the fact that despite that, we came within 10 points of beating that guild, and we had about 20 attacks left over. By the time the war was done, and it was on a weekend. We get it. People have real life duties to attend to, and at the end of the day, this is just a game. But we used 80 of our attacks. They used about 81 or 82 of their attacks, and we still came within about 10 points. Um, their their bases were extremely tough, but and despite that, we were a lot of the strategies that we've used in the past still allowed us to make up a pretty huge deficit from the outset of the war. So let's go in and just take a look at the recap because there's a few things that I did want to point out. First thing we learned after 4 successive wins is that the war win bonus is 20% of whatever your war win bonus was. So it wasn't a complete donut uh, for a loss. So yeah, let's go through and take a look. They came out swinging within the first 30 minutes of the war and three-starred pretty much our entire lower half. Excuse me, not our lower half, but our 25 to 50 rank. And we took some time to watch what they were doing to see what type of attacks they would deploy, mostly just to figure out what might be in the clan castles. And taking that time to kind of sit and assess was a good thing. On the other hand, it also rattled a lot of people because we weren't used to this level of aggression. After 4 easy clan wars, the Brazil United was the first tough one that we were up against. But I guess this is Supercell's way of saying we think you guys have been resting on your laurels just a little too long, and here's a can of whoop ass. So what are you going to do? We're not gonna cry about it, but there are a lot of things that we did learn about from uh, both from their attack patterns and both from their attack patterns as well as our base defenses. Things that we can use to improve our base designs and our attack strategies moving forward. But so let's see. One of the first things I did want to point out, we were able to three-star a few of their bases. Let's see, Pork. Let's cover base design first. Actually, let's go back here. So let's cover base design first. I wanted to take a look at Matty Ice's clan base because Matty's been with us for a few weeks now, and he's obviously showed himself to be a very skilled player. And one of the things that he did extremely well this week for being in the middle tier of the guild in terms of rankings anyway, because that definitely doesn't pertain to his skill, is his base design. He was able to withstand 2 Mass Dragon attacks. I believe he's ranked 30. The ranks, I think, like 15 and 19 took 2 swipes at him with 2 Mass Dragon attacks. So that's over 1,000,000 elixir, plus 4 level 5 rages, and they were only able to 1-star him. So, unfortunately this week, since we didn't win, there's no MVPs, but, if there was a most valuable lesson to take away from this week, it was this base design. What's interesting about this base design is, number one, all of the funnels that are built into this don't really give the attacker a good approach because no matter where he's coming in from, he's going to hit a funnel, and within that funnel somewhere is something that's going to trap, some trap, that's going to defeat at least a portion of those forces. And that's what happened. The attack came in from the right, and they came in, went straight in for the funnel, got sprung trapped, and then pushed out. But what was also really interesting about this base is the spacing of the components between the outside components compartments and the inside compartments. Because of the double air defenses here, they were able to keep the core pretty clear. And because of the tanks, the storage tanks, I mean, look at this. We're talking about, over 6,000 hit points just in this one little core alone, uh, to keep the dragons occupied long enough to be able to wipe them out. Now, what was interesting about this is, despite the fact that Maddie still has pink walls, they chose to do dragon attacks for this. Maybe they thought it would be an easy 3-star, but what we're seeing is that base designs like this you're probably going to want to attack these with the hog. They had 2 swipes at this, so they sent in their attacks from 2 different directions. I think one was from the top right, one was from the top, one was from the bottom, and neither of them were able to score more than 1 star off of Maddie. So great job there, and that's contrasted by the fact that my modified design of the Shuriken base, which makes it a little bit hog resistant and centralizes the air defenses, got completely freaking rolled. Just a couple of rages in the right spot were able to path the dragons right through the core of my base. I thought my outside storages were enough to keep them busy, but it wasn't the case. 3 dragons on that's done in about 3 seconds, and then the dragons are onto the air defenses. So lesson learned. What we're seeing is that spacing matters. Having double air defenses and high level air defenses. So at a minimum level 5. So if you guys Town Hall 8, Town Hall 7, you guys can go all the way to your level 5 air defenses, and then I'll give you some extra coverage for the upcoming clan wars. Now, as far as defeating hogs, it's well known, especially from a high level, that mass hogs, there's very little that can stop it at the Town Hall 8, and that's going to be a big problem for us moving forward, only because of the lack of hog resistant or hog proof Town Hall 8 bases. I'm sure part of the problem with designing a hog proof base is, regardless of where you're dropping your traps, the more hog resistant you make it, the more vulnerable it becomes to other types of attacks. So something to learn there. So let's take a look at a couple of the 3-star raids, and let's just move on over to here. Yeah, and again, I just wanted to point out, one of the biggest problems was that we were up against Town Hall 10s with Infernos, and we have our best Town Hall is a Town Hall 9, and probably in the hands of one of our most skillful players. But what are you going to do? We did the best we could to go and attack these bases. Everyone stuck to the plan for the most part and attacked their matches. And what we found was that this clan was extremely focused on base design and defenses to defeat all of the common attack patterns for taking out a base. And what I'm talking about is, when we're looking at a base, the very first thing you want to do is assess the level and position of all of the air defenses, as well as a lot of the big, the high damage potential defenses, and that's things like Expos, Infernos, as well as where the storage is. Are they central? Are they tanking? For some of the other defenses. But most importantly, you're also looking for these things, these spaces between these components here, because all of these could hide either a Tesla or a double bomb or whatever. So these are all concerns for deploying things like hog riders. With this high level of air defense, this would be extremely tough to attack with a mass dragon attack. So we end up having to move over to like Go Wipe or Go Wee Wee, or just mass hogs. So some things to consider there. And yeah, 20 Town Hall 9 and above bases. Again, I just want to point out the fact that despite that, we were still able to come within about 10 points of beating them. I'm sure that we gave them a run for their money, despite that mismatch. But let me to put that into practical terms for you. That's an extra 20 troops per clan, per base, possibly an extra 5 troops for every clan castle. But then the most lethal aspect of being part of Town Hall 9 and an attacker is that they get the Archer Queen. And having that is, that's a game changer in a lot of the bases. If you're just going up against, the Burger King, no big deal. But to have to go up against the BK as well as the AQ, it's extremely tough for Town Hall 8s. And despite that, again, we did okay. They didn't come through and 3-star every single one of us. I know that they tried, but they did well. So let's see. Let's take a look at a couple of 3-star bases. I know. Okay, let's just do this one by Meow Pork. Let's see what you did. I didn't get a chance to review all of these, obviously, because okay. So Mass Dragons came in, raged right away, got rid of the trash, deployed his reinforcements right away, didn't even bother with the clan castle. And this is an important thing with this because of how slow they are. You really don't have time to sit there luring out troops. And besides, there's so much DPS that they'll be able to take care of just about anything in there. And one of the things that is interesting about what he did here is that he deployed a rage plus a heal in the middle plus a second heal. It's interesting. That gives him a lot more longevity throughout the battle. So if you're thinking about using 2 rages, or 3 rages like I did and completely failed, this is another possible attack strategy to consider. And he went up against level 5 air defenses and was still able to survive, punching through the core and then dropping that last air defense there. So yeah, it took some time to deploy his Barbarian King towards the end, and then with 30 seconds left, he's pretty much got the base all wiped out and on to victory. I wish mine had gone just as well. I was a little too conservative in my deployment strategy, and I made the ridiculous mistake of dropping my rages outside of the range of the dragons. So the rages were sitting there with the dragons sitting outside the circle and nothing happening. And you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at just how badly I did, so that you can see what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Okay, hang on. So I went up against my match plus the base right below me. So looking at Monstro. Okay, no, it's not going to show that. Sorry, just bear with me while I look for this raid. Okay, here we go. So up against Monstro. Now, mind you, when you watch this, keep a couple things in mind. I was angry when I raided this, so I was rushed for a lot of different reasons. I tried to start punching out the core before moving in through. I started to punch out the corners before moving through the core. And again, because of the spacing of this, the dragons got tied up outside the base, and then they should have been able to punch through the core, but because of where I positioned the rages, and I went in with 3, they just, yeah, so here's mistake number 1. So there's a rage just happily pumping away and no dragons touching it. And then, if one time wasn't enough, I did it a second time. And, finally, 5 seconds later, they finally make it into there. And now they're, at this point, they're starting to just get wiped out by the air defenses. Now, another interesting thing here is that he loaded up every single one of his air bombs in the core of his base. So anything that made it into there was going to have some trouble. The right way to have done this would have been to use Meow Pork's strategy, which was a combination of rages plus heals, because I guess we learned that level 3 dragons are just not enough to punch through this level of defenses. So that was a great little tip there. Now, one of the other things that I did want to point out, and this is a strategy that I am working on. So let's see. And this is a hog/dragon attack. And what this is you're going in with about 20 hogs, and then cleaning up with 4 dragons. And the trick with making this work is, number 1, taking out the air defenses. You see what I mean about the bombs there? They knew exactly where the lure was going to come in from. And then, yeah, this was an easy lure. It was only 2 troops, just the hog and the dragon. This would have been better with maybe even some extra trash troops. So what it did was I deployed my reinforcements right away, but I had a level 2 dragon instead of a level 3 dragon, so both the BK as well as the level 3 dragon on defense were able to come back in and start wiping out my hogs. Otherwise, I would have completely been able to neutralize their defenses and give the dragons enough time to come through and clean up the base. Because I would have had, what makes this strategy work is that you have all 4 of the dragons going, as well as possibly the 5th, if it has enough life left. Plus, you also have you need the hogs as well as your BK to go through and start cleaning everything up. In this case, all I had were the dragons, and it's just not enough to wipe out the base. So that's what happened there. All right. Now let's take a look at one more 3-star raid, and then okay, let's see. And again, kudos to to the top half of the guild. You guys did an awesome job of moving through a really tough opponent. So Akira is attacked by our co-leader Shine. So let's watch that. See, exactly. You see what I mean about the Teslas? They knew exactly where the lure was going to come in from, and now you have to start deploying assets to take out the Tesla. And immediately Dragon comes out along with some minions. You have to take care of these guys first before you do anything, because otherwise you're just going to have a bad day. So Archer Queen, Burger King's down. We're pulling them into the corner. Okay, we're calling an audible and moving everything up into the north corner. No problem there. Okay, here come the reinforcements, Burger King 10. Let's see, is that... Okay, so the dragon's down with the help of the wizards and the level 6 archers, and here comes the big attack. So down from the bottom left-hand corner, immediately onto those 2 defenses. There'll be some traps there. Okay, 1 heal down, and the heals are important because your biggest problem with this attack are going to be the wizard towers. These guys are fast enough to outrun mortar blasts, but wizard towers are huge problems. So if you're going to be doing your heals, make sure you're pumping those heals in and around near the wizard towers. So he's got level 4 hogs, and I believe he's Town Hall 9. Oh, he's starting to clean up with his minions now on the outside, and he's still got a complement of hogs going through with only about 3 defenses left. Our Archer Queen is out, and, starting to do her thing, and we still have a little bit of DPS left with the hogs, and that's it. Last defense is down, and then the timing of this is critical because this is such a big base. You need the speed of the hogs to move from one structure to the next, as well as the DPS. So, great job there. It was a textbook lure with an audible in the middle. That's extremely tough to do because things change so quickly in this game, and you only have seconds to change your mind. So, and yeah, so for a lot of you trying to learn hog rider strategy, this is a great example of both how to lure, where to deploy from, when to deploy your heals, and then what forces to keep in reserve, to ensure the 3 stars. So definitely study this and follow this example if you can. 1 second left to go. Perfect. And yeah, again, the last thing I wanted to point out, every single one of these bases knew exactly where the lures were going to be coming from. They put the clan castles in an obvious position, and then would trap these areas over here, just to make it harder. So, consider using, consider avoiding the obvious attack path here, and possibly come in from the side here. And you could easily lure this clan castle out by just dropping a couple hogs on this on that cannon right there, or up here or wherever. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, I could talk for hours about everything that we did. All I'm going to say is great job to everybody. We had a lot of new guys that had never worked with trophy armies before, but you guys stepped up to the plate, and you were willing to learn some new strategies, and that's all we really ask. Is that you're willing to contribute, and that you're active, and you want to improve both individually and as a clan together. So keep up with the great work. The next one will be different. I know that we'll be more focused because the unfortunate thing about winning in the way that we did, which were just 4 complete blowouts in a row, is that you don't learn anything from those. All the teaching moments come from when we lose, and we didn't lose this one in the sense that. In a very frustrating way, we came within 10 points of an extremely high-level clan, and still did our best to to keep up with them. So again, keep up with the great work. And if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you want me to cover in detail, any particular strategies, just let me know. Just drop it in the comments, and I'll do a quick recording for you. So Great job. Looking forward to the next one. Save up your elixir. We'll get started with another clan war up on Friday, and let's see if that one has a better outcome. Thanks, and stay tuned.